Alright, guys. Alright, let's do. What you doing, bud? Let's do 5 scenes psychopath caters reaction to life sentence. This bad out there. This bad out there. This bad out there.
These convicts took the lives of innocent
This you shouldn't say in prison.
What was worse is that they showed absolutely no remorse for their actions. Let's watch as these absolutely psychopathic criminals get handed life sentences. Number 5, Keith Ferguson. Keith Ferguson, the man who has been very loud and disruptive during every court appearance, remained calm in court as he learned his fate. Ferguson pleads guilty to taking the life of Tiffany Ferguson and James Weber, both to first and second degree charges. As part of the plea deal, Ferguson's 10 other charges were dropped, including kidnapping and explosive charges. Ferguson shot and took the life of his estranged wife, Tiffany Ferguson, and his father-in-law, James Weber, in Kalkaska County. The crimes left the Fergusons 4 children without a mother. Their grandmother has been taking care of them. Police say Ferguson held a woman hostage for more than 7 hours and had bombs. Carla Seating, Tiffany's best friend, asked, "Do you have any idea of the emotional pain your kids have suffered and will continue to suffer their entire lives?"
You could have just taken your own life and saved these poor kids. Do you have any idea of the emotional pain your kids have suffered? I know you're supposed to forgive, but right now all I feel for you is hatred.
Seating broke down into tears as she struggled to grasp what could have driven Ferguson to slaughter his wife and mother of his children. Ferguson showed little emotion and said little. The judge said Ferguson deserved the most serious punishment, life in prison without the chance for parole. Keith Ferguson was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. That sentence is the harshest allowed under Michigan law.
I'll be back. Okay, stop. Can I get you to stand up there? Alright, have you raised your right hand for me? Okay, alright.
That defendant is already murdered and murdered multiple people, then fled and has taken hostages.
Two murders. We have issues of flight, home invasion, kidnapping. The defendant is facing life offenses.
Friends said the sentencing helped bring a little closure to the tragic events. The prosecutor said the community has been very supportive of the family during this difficult time. A memorial race was scheduled to take place, and all of the proceeds would go to the family. Number 4, Michael Swanson. Michael Swanson, who took the lives of 2 convenience store workers in 2010 and was convicted in 2011, would spend his life in prison. On November 15, 2010, Swanson, then 17 years old, shot Sheila Myers at a Humboldt convenience store. Earlier in the evening, he shot Vicky Bowman Hall at a convenience store in Algona. Both women were survived by husbands and children. Swanson was convicted of first-degree and first-degree robbery for taking the life of Myers. He shot Myers in the face with a .40 caliber Beretta handgun and left the Come and Go store with $31 and some cigarettes. He received a life sentence for that slaying. Swanson pleaded guilty to the first-degree and first-degree robbery for Bowman Hill's demise.
How could you do what you did to my mom and my family? I want to know if you're even sorry. Are you sorry for what you did? You said you did it for cigarettes and money and so no one could identify you, but I think that's a lie. My mom was not only completely 100% innocent, but she was also a defenseless woman when you came in with that gun. How could killing a defenseless woman and an outright execution be powerful or fair? My mom did nothing to you. You did it, as you later said on, that it was so you could feel powerful.
He admitted during his plea hearing that he walked into the Crossroads convenience store on the night of her demise, armed, and shot Bowman Hall with the intention of destroying her. Swanson received a life sentence for that slaying as well.
Intentionally, deliberately, and with premeditation, shot the clerk, causing her to die. I did this with a specific intent to kill her.
2 months into your 18th year, and you have 4 gray walls to look forward to the rest of your life.
In 2013, Governor Terry Branstad commuted the life sentences of 38 Iowa inmates convicted as juveniles, including Swanson, to terms of 60 years in prison before they could be eligible for parole. After going to jail, Swanson tried to take the life of a fellow inmate, and for that, he got an additional 25 years on his sentence, on top of his 2 life sentences. Swanson slashed an inmate in the neck, and the victim required stitches for several cuts. Number 3, Ronnie O'Neill. Ronnie O'Neill was convicted of brutally taking the life of his girlfriend, Kenyatta Barron, and their daughter, Ron Nevea, on March 28, 2018. O'Neill also got a chance to address the victims' families during his sentencing. While he said no one could love Barron or his children more than he does, he also said he is not sorry for the things he did. O'Neill defended himself through most of the trial, even questioning his son, who said his dad tried burning him. It took the jury about 4.5 hours to find O'Neill guilty on all counts. O'Neill argued he took Barron's life, but only because she butchered their daughter with special needs. The jury agreed with prosecutors that O'Neill brutally slaughtered them both before knifing and setting fire to his then 8-year-old son, attempting to take his life too. During the trial, jurors heard a desperate 911 call from Barron as O'Neill shot her and then beat her fatally. During the call, Barron begged for her life. O'Neill gained national attention for his antics in court, as he insisted on representing himself during his trial.
Switch and save $652. It's okay. There's enough for everyone.
Dessa Barron, the victim's sister, told O'Neill she did not have any sympathy for him and doesn't feel sorry for his circumstances. She said, "So when you sit in that cell for the rest of your life, remember you don't leave out until you're in a box." Hillsborough County Judge Michelle Cisco told O'Neill that she will be haunted for the rest of her life by the evidence she saw during the trial. During the penalty phase of the trial, O'Neill requested a defense attorney, but by then, it was too late to mount any kind of meaningful defense. Because the judge allowed O'Neill to represent himself during the trial, there is a host of issues that could be open to an appeal. Those issues could be fought out in the years to come after O'Neill's sentencing. O'Neill has received 3 consecutive life sentences and an additional 60 years. A Hillsborough County judge upheld the life sentence for convicted assassin Ronnie O'Neill, saying it's the worst case she has ever seen.
I am not sorry for something I didn't do. I am not sorry for the things I did do. All right.
Stop right. Stop.
All right.
Listen to me.
I'm not
You're not going to raise your voice again.
I'm not going to raise my voice again. Yes, ma'am.
You don't conduct
I
yourself.
understand, Your Honor.
Thank you.
But I will say, I'm sorry for your loss.
This is the worst case I have ever seen as far as the facts go. She was being betrayed by her parent, the one person, the last thing that child felt before she passed on from this earth was your utter, cruel betrayal to her.
Number 2, Randall Moore. Randall Moore was
And
convicted of
why
taking
you
the
want
life of
to
his
kill
estranged
your
wife,
daughter
and at
because
his
she has
sentencing,
special
he
needs?
said that he has no remorse for her demise.
That's
The hostage
messed up.
situation in Des Moines ended with Therese Ann Lynch Moore deceased and a police officer injured. Randall Moore was convicted of kidnapping and taking the life of Therese Ann Lynch Moore. Randall Moore also shot Des Moines officer Todd Rowland. Moore was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences for Therese Ann's demise and 25 years in prison for shooting Rowland. From Moore throwing insults at his victim's mother to Moore's several-minute tirade in court to a fight over Therese Ann Lynch Moore's childhood pictures, which Moore said should burn in hell, Court experts said the sentencing was unprecedented. Before the sentencing, Moore and their family members had a chance to read victim impact statements. Moore spoke for close to 11 minutes, and it was horrifying. For more than 10 minutes, he tried to justify slaying the mother of his son.
Yes, I do. I started thinking about why she left and what could have been done differently during this whole process. That has got to be the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm not saying what I did was any better.
Moore did apologize to his family and Officer Rowland, but he prefaced the apology with the claim that he got have taken the officer's life too, but chose not to. At times, Moore's remarks were so daunting that they drew gasps from those in the courtroom. Judge Joel Novak warned the court he might cross the line of judicial propriety when responding to Moore. Novak sentenced Moore to 3 life sentences for the crimes against Therese Ann Lynch, Moore, and 25 years in prison for shooting Officer Rowland. He ordered the sentences be served consecutively to underscore the severity of the crime and Moore's disregard for the law. Number 1. Scott Nelson. 55-year-old Scott Edward Nelson was found guilty of the first degree. He was later sentenced to life in prison without parole. Prosecutors say Nelson forced his way into a Winter Park home in September 2017. He tied up 56-year-old Jennifer Lynn Fulford and put her in the trunk of her own car. He used an ATM to steal $300 from her account. Investigators say Nelson jabbed Fulford several times in a vacant lot outside Orlando. Jennifer Fulford was reported missing later on by her employer. The employer, who hired the 56-year-old woman as a nanny 6 or 7 years earlier, was alerted when Fulford failed to pick up the child she cared for from school. Her purse was found in the bathroom of her employer's home without her cell phone, wallet, or electronic tablet. Her car was missing too. The next clue was a suspicious $300 withdrawal from Fulford's bank account she shared with her husband. An ATM surveillance camera captured the image of a white male with eyeglasses and a ponytail making the transaction. A probation officer recognized the male as Scott Edward Nelson, a convict out on federal probation for armed robbery. Nelson's image was seen again on bank surveillance later the same afternoon. During the second attempt to withdraw funds, Nelson appeared to have changed clothes and had fresh scratches on his hands. 3 days after Fulford's disappearance, investigators made a grisly discovery: her body in a heavily wooded area in southwest Orange County, Florida. Her wrists and ankles were bound, and her face was covered with duct tape. The medical examiner determined Fulford passed away from puncture wounds and asphyxia. On October 1, 2017, police arrested Nelson 141 miles away in Jacksonville, Florida. The homeless 53-year-old from Vermont was later charged with first-degree kidnapping, burglary of a home, carjacking, robbery, and tampering with a witness to a felony.
We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of kidnapping with intent to inflict bodily harm.
We will be proceeding to the penalty phase of this case, given your verdict on count 1 as charged in the indictment.
Due to the accusation that Nelson took her life to cover up a robbery, prosecutors filed for the penalty in the case. A jury found Scott Nelson guilty of all charges. After his cold and psychotic behavior in court, it was impossible to come to any other decision. But the jury did not recommend the penalty, and instead, Nelson was sentenced to life in prison without parole. That's all for today's video. See you.
Okay, guys, I will see you in my 5th one, so I'll see you then.